What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka Unique Mazique, the hardest working man in sports and gaming. I am a fight guy. I'm a Forbes contributor, and I'm also a writer for Heavy.com. Let's talk about UFC 249. I already did two previews for the first two fights on the early prelim card, and now we're going to do that final fight on the early prelim card, and it could be really good. Vicente Luque against Niko Price, two guys who pretty much never have a bad fight, but we're going to see what happens in this one. I still doubt strongly that we'll see these guys have a bad fight. Vicente Luque comes in. He has to be the best, one of the best fighters in the world to have 7 losses. You kind of wonder how that happened, but he is 17-7-1 in his career. Still only 20 years old. He's another guy that feels like he's been around for a long time. Niko Price comes in 30 years old, 14-3. Super exciting guy, can finish the fight in all sorts of ways. Let's get a little bit deeper into this fight, but first let's talk about the odds. Right now, Vicente Luque is a minus 280 favorite. Niko Price is at plus 240, so the odds makers are pretty positive that Vicente comes out on the victorious side in this fight. We're going to look a little bit more into it. I'll tell you what I think. All right, so last 3 fights for both guys. So Luque, he came up short in his last fight against Wonder Boy Stephen Thompson. Those guys fought at UFC 244. He lost a unanimous decision. Vicente is a quintessential stand-up fighter. He loves to stand and bang and trade. And Wonder Boy was just a little bit too long, a little bit too slick for him, which is really kind of disturbing for Vicente Luque, because if somebody beats you at your game, it's kind of a little bit it can shake you a little bit. It also probably shook him because it snapped a 6-fight win streak. Prior to that, he had won a split decision against Mike Perry, which was an absolute war, which was a little concerning to me because I consider him to be more skilled than Mike Perry, and it was a little shocking to see, even though Mike Perry's tough and can really crack and has an excellent chin, that was a war, and that was the fight that Mike Perry's nose just went on. Oh my God, like somebody had just, I don't know what happened to it, but it was crazy. That was that fight. And then before that, Vicente Luque beat Derek Krantz, who was a late replacement, more of a brawler, gutted out kind of guy than a great fighter, but all kinds of guts. But Vicente stopped him in the first round. So you can kind of say that maybe the competition wasn't top notch for Vicente Luque in those fights, and then when he did come up against somebody who is elite like Wonder Boy, we see what happens. But we'll kind of find out, because Niko Price is kind of a measuring stick kind of guy. His last 3 fights, he's 2-1. He beat Tim Means, which is a really strong victory, stopped him in the first round. Niko can stop you at any point, and a lot of his opponents have found that out. Unfortunately for him, the sandwich fight for him in the last 3 fights, he was destroyed via ground and pound by Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal, by many accounts, especially if you ask Joe Rogan, he loves Jeff Neal. He thinks Jeff Neal might be a future champion. So we'll see what happens, but Jeff Neal was able to take care of Niko Price. But in Niko's last fight, dating back to October of 2019, UFC on ESPN plus 19, he defeated James Vick with an up kick. Rarely do you see that, but Niko Price has a way of finishing guys in odd circumstances. Back in July of 2018, that hammer fist from the bottom position, while he had Randy Brown's face caught in the hook of his foot and ankle, that was crazy. I don't think I've ever seen anybody stop like that. So Niko Price will pull a rabbit out of a hat on somebody in any moment. And so his opponents obviously have to be ready. So who's trending up and who's trending down? Last fight, Niko Price won his, of course, and Vicente Luque dropped his fight. I still don't know if one guy has a significant edge in that situation. Obviously, it's better to be coming off a win than to be coming off a loss. But Luque had won 6 fights in a row before he lost to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So I want to almost call those guys a little bit even in that situation. But as I always say, trends up and down don't win fights. Let's look a little bit deeper at this particular matchup. Like I said, Vicente Luque, he loves to stand. That is the way he likes to fight. Now, Niko Price can go pretty much just about either way. On the feet, he is much more of a brawler. And when he's on the ground, he's kind of a scrambling sort of a guy. Both of these guys absorb shots. They don't like head movement. Like, they're allergic to head movement. They're not on that, right? So Vicente Luque is absorbing 5.34 strikes a minute. You want to know why he's got 7 losses? Yeah, while I said I know he's a fantastic striker, but that striking defense is where his biggest issues are. Niko Price is not far behind him. He's absorbing 4.46 strikes per minute. And the other bad thing about Niko Price is that he's not all that accurate. 34% of his strikes are landing compared to 53% for Vicente Luque. Vicente Luque, 5.18 strikes landed per minute to 3 strikes landed per minute for Niko Price. Clearly, it's easy to see who's the more efficient striker, even though neither guy is fantastic at defense. Niko Price is the most likely to shoot for a takedown in this particular fight. Will he do it? I don't know. He hasn't had great success with it. 23% accuracy on shooting for takedowns, 64% takedown defense for Vicente Luque, because this is where he wants the fight to stay. He wants to stay on his feet, so he generally is going to work at keeping the fight standing. The way Niko Price just fights, he's generally the type of guy who seemingly is going to fight whatever fight you give him. And because he believes in his power, believes in his ingenuity on the ground, he'll try to find a way. And you can't count him out and say that he won't get it done. It's just the kind of fighter that he is. But if this fight can remain as technical as possible, and Vicente Luque can stay out of a firefight, which I'm not 100% positive he will do that, because he showed us against Mike Perry that he can kind of be dragged into a fight that isn't necessarily the best way for him to win. But if he can resist that, stay technical, he should be able to pick Niko Price apart, find opportunities to land consistently. And if he cannot stop him, he should be able to beat him up and batter him en route to a unanimous decision victory. I'm going to go with Vicente Luque winning this fight by either a unanimous decision or a second round TKO. Either way, I am going with the favorite on this one, and we'll see how it shakes out. As always, I appreciate you watching. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, and don't forget to click that notification bell so that you'll know when new videos drop. As always, God bless and peace.